Dus ja. Bring that beat back. Arsenic on the beat.
Skibang.
The Babbling Heads Podcast.
Yes, this is the Babbling Heads. Before I introduce myself, I just want to say there was a comment, somebody, I'm not going to mention his name, he said something about old heads, and he shared one of our posts, and it was like, this is what the old heads think about you guys.
Yeah.
Firstly, old heads is a bit
Yeah, we're still young at heart.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is this is the point what I'm trying to make. When one of us says something here, we're not representing the old heads or anybody else. We're representing the babbling heads. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make that clear. Okay, I'm Mad Fingaz.
I'm the bass 187.
I'm Adrian Kearns.
Charlie X2C.
And today we're featuring a prolific hardcore, straight talking female MC. FMC. I'm not sure if you like that term. But she's come a long way. We know her for years. And yeah, we're finally getting to sit down and have a good chat. Adrian's already stolen some of the time already.
Lekker chat,
So yeah, we'd like to welcome Manisha, aka Eavesdrop, aka Jade Mnemonic Spitfire, aka Mercury Metronome. Yeah, she goes by many monikers, but still the same, still the same person. So what up?
Thank you so much, guys. I'm cool. I'm happy to be here. I love what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. It sounds nice.
Cool. So I think let's start with telling the audience where you started and all that jazz and up till now.
Is it jazz? I thought it was hip hop.
Nah, but kijk, didn't you say you're gonna break away from that whole formula?
No, just give
let's
it.
just talk, yeah.
Then after that,
Kijk, what kind of burger did you have at Rocker Mamas this morning?
What kind of burger?
Okay, yeah, let's break away from that. Let's break away from that. Let's break away from that. You're right.
I made my own burger. I added some cheese. I added egg. I added rocket.
Yes.
And it was
rocket for the other mensen out there in the Cape Fletchers. Fancy letters, no? Fancy letters.
My brother would
letters.
call it leaves.
Blaren.
Harsikos.
Rabbit food.
Loved it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Sweet.
But
Okay, he doesn't want you to tell you these things.
okay.
Let me rather rephrase my question. I saw the latest one, not the old stuff.
It's not about old things.
Yeah, it's about new things. Not about old heads.
Oh, about babbling heads.
It's
Here
about
we go.
just used heads.
Yes.
Slightly used heads.
Pre-existing copper.
About working heads.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, talking heads. Check here. So I saw you doing a gig with a hole in the aquarium.
Yes.
I want to ask, how did it come about? But maybe it might be too for him. But tell us about the gig.
Well, basically, that was the Cape Town Electronic Music Festival. So they're doing like a
It's so
Friends and
sweet,
Frequencies, so it's like a initiative to raise funds for musicians,
artists.
right? During this time. So they did a live stream because normally, obviously, they have an actual event where people can attend, which now can't happen. And so one of the guys that is part of the organizers, he used to work with Red Bull. And I don't know if I can say Red Bull, but anyway, he used to work with them.
David.
And
Ivan.
Ivan, And so he knows about me from Red Bull because of my affiliation with Red Bull in the past. And he just reached out to me and said, like, would you like to come and do a track, And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But I didn't really know anything about what it was all about until he told me later. And then he just said that they were doing a live stream at the aquarium. And I was like, wow, that would be an amazing space to perform in. The energy there and the colors and just what it looks and feels like. And so, we did the recording and they streamed it yesterday.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was cool. I was
looked
watching it. It was
cool.
dope because you imagine like you see the shark coming behind you. And
Right.
you're like,
Not only behind you, like literally above you.
yeah. It was
It's like
hectic.
I was in this tunnel vibe,
Yeah.
Because every other Tom, Dick and Harry live stream is just basically the screens behind you. It's got a certain look and aesthetic, and it's like, nah, man, kijk, it's like, it's getting old. It's getting old. I mean,
Net liggies.
Yeah, even so, D was doing one with what was it? Oldback, not Oldback's like Gordon's Gin.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, guys are cheap. So no, attach my name to that shit. I want some Bombay Sapphire up in here. Some Tangerine, nigga.
Iemand 'n klomp gin in volgende.
It's the Babblations.
Yes. So that's how that came about. But
Yeah.
it was amazing actually. I was initially supposed to just do one track, but when I got there, they were like, "Oh yeah, so how many tracks is your set?" And I was like, "One track." And they were like, "Please, can you do more?" And I was like, "Okay." MC's got to do what MC's got to do.
Always the one thing is that paramount, like for MCs, always just good with their full library on a USB stick.
100%. And like now that you mention that, like I wasn't told to prepare that. But before I left home, I was like, you know what? I think let me just take my other beats with me, like my backtracks. Yeah. And when I got there, they were like, okay, cool. So where can we load your backtracks? And I was like, luckily I got it.
Every days.
Yeah.
And just coming off from that now, do you have to like prepare, or like do you have to go and rehash your material, your songs that you wrote before, like before you perform, or is it like already ingrained in you? Know, once you've recorded a track, is it like always there in memory? Can you just like access it, or do you actually need to rehearse?
No, I definitely need to rehearse, like because my head is filled with so many other things, you know, that like I have to like decide what I bring to the forefront and when, you know. Yeah. So not all of my songs are just like there for me anymore with age, you know. You get wisdom and you lose other things, but anyway. So no, like I definitely have to prepare, you know, and I always try to like make sure that I squeeze in some rehearsal, just because sometimes lyrics can leave you, like something you might have been able to memorize easily could leave you if you haven't performed it for a while, you know. And also the same with newer material. Yeah. Like you might have just written it to be recorded and then kind of left it for a while. So definitely I spend like some time, because also sometimes you might want to tailor make something a little bit depending on where and what you're performing for, you know. So like, yeah, I try to at least but I can pretty much gauge myself and know, okay, cool, with particular tracks, like they're always just there. Like, for example, one of my tracks, Cape Flats Kung Fu, like it's so close to my heart that like I can do it when the first thing I do when I wake up, you know, like before even opening my eyes, like as soon as my mind wakes up, I'll be like, okay, cool, I know that track.
And that track's from your EP, The Scrolls of the Unseen, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We
Represent.
Yeah, that's dope. That's so
I'll show you.
Kung Fu Panda.
Check the cuts on you performed the track at the aquarium, the cuts. Who did the cuts on there?
So the first track that I did, that's a new track actually, and the cuts there was DJ Watson.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know DJ Watson. John is his name? He's a French guy.
Oh yes.
South Africa now.
Yeah. He actually played at the Indaba last year.
Yeah, he's a dope DJ.
Yeah,
and also there's the portabilism, the Newmark turntable thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
so he did the scratches on that. Yeah.
Nice.
Sure you can.
Yeah. That was dope.
Dope. Exactly.
Take the 20 cents. Where must I put it in?
Exactly.
As in met 20 cents. $5 game just. Yeah. So Adrian actually sent us the link to your website, and
Nice.
you also published as part of one of the contributors in Never Again, the book with Adam Up, Quentin, Emmanuel Williams, H. Samuel Lehman, Emil YX.
Yes.
And the spin-off from that book, being also the first like published academic book based on Cape Town hip hop, was an EP featuring also Adam Up, yourself, Bradley Fower.
In the key of B.
Yeah. You guys actually got to go overseas and perform.
That was so dope.
Tell us about that journey, man.
That was amazing. Like we went to the University of Potsdam. Yeah. They were doing like a conference there, and we got to go and present the book and then do a little bit of the music. So we did like a couple of the tracks as well from the EP. So that was amazing. Like just to sit and listen to like, you know, the other delegates and to also be able to share. Like it was really cool to like, because we played the music video for Cape Flats Kung Fu, and it was so cool to be in that space in a different country, in a different, you know, environment, and like see the flats on a screen and like see our people's faces. So dope. It was really, they were so open as well, you know, to welcoming us. And it was just amazing to be able to share. I guess our people from our areas, in my opinion, don't get enough opportunity to be able to stand up and speak about what it's like to come from where we come from and deal with what we deal with, you know.
Yeah.
So like I felt really honored to be able to represent in that way as well. And like obviously, you know, the crew that we went through as like just good people, you know, good energies. So just a blessing, a real blessing.
But don't you think it's weird going abroad and seeing the Cape Flats and seeing the Cape Flats through their eyes and how they perceive it,
Right.
and they feel, I would say, inspired, or they feel, wow, look at this place.
Right.
But the thing is, when you come back,
Yeah.
you're just engulfed in it, and we don't see that special bond that people have on the Cape Flats, man.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? So you can
Yes.
use that in your music, but it's taken for granted here, man.
It is
You know
taken
what I'm
for
saying?
granted. I think we don't realize how beautiful we are. And I think we don't realize how much we have to offer. And I think we always undermine our ability, actually, you know, and how unique we are in relation to the rest of the world, in relation even to the next ghetto, you know, like people try to make us feel like, you know, because we're all from the ghetto, we're all the same.
Yeah.
But we're really not. We're really diverse, a lot more than just our genetics.
Yeah.
You know, like in every way, we're really different. from
Because
each
my
other.
experience was going to the States where we could speak of from a point of view of race, and they would if once they hear you from South Africa, it was like, oh fuck, you from South Africa,
Right.
So they value your opinion when it comes to race because in their mind we've overcome it in a way that they haven't, where
Right.
they're still struggling.
Right.
But when we come back, it's almost like you're stuck into a state of mind where you don't even realize, shit, I can actually package this whole thing and tour with this whole thing if it's just packaged properly. But we just don't see it that way once we hear, man. You know what I'm saying?
We don't see the value
Yeah.
in the fact that we've moved beyond from, what can I call the thing? Apartheid.
Yeah.
No, you
We
can't.
we can. Yeah. And we see, like you're saying, we see the less value of the fact that we actually survived then,
Right.
and we're still surviving
Right.
in the new dispensation
Right. Yeah.
as people of color or
Right.
people that's struggling,
Right.
and we're still pushing. You know, like you're saying, like if you go to America, a Nantal, an artist here in Cape Town, you're seen as wow.
Yeah.
But when you come back, you almost feel like I'm not that wow that they think I am, because my
Right.
own people don't see the wow in me.
Right.
You understand?
Or
And that's
themselves,
yeah.
Definitely. I agree with that. And I think also like, you know, when we go overseas, especially to places like America, we kind of expected to sell the new South Africa, you know, and all the cliches that come with that. And really like that just oversimplifies what really is happening here.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's not fair to expect for us to represent their fantasy. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that's what they're looking for. They're looking for validation of the
Yeah.
fantasy of what the new South Africa represents for a person of color. And there is no new South Africa for us.
Yeah, I think they want the Wakanda.
mean-
I think they want Wakanda.
I think
What
also
is-
like they're in a different space, probably psychologically, where they're looking for hope, I guess. From
yeah,
us.
it's definitely hope.
It's
Because I think-
inspiration, yeah. It's
Right.
Yeah,
inspiration.
the thing is,
Yeah.
they were taken from this land,
Right.
and they. There was this whole thing with Akon, and so where he says blacks must come,
Back to the
African
motherland.
Americans must come
Come
back
back
and come
home,
do
yeah.
it over here.
Right.
But the thing is, they view it as this holy land, whatever. But we obviously have our own struggles. We obviously have our own stuff that to deal with. You know what I'm saying? The same as them. But I can understand why they would feel, because they are in a country where the whole system was created around them and not for them. Not that this
It was
system
built
that
on
we-
their backs.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Slavery.
And the one guy mentioned is, he says like, when they go to court,
Yeah.
you don't see a black person. There's now and then you'll see, but when you're in Africa, you'll see a black judge. You'll see a colored person in authority.
Yes.
But the thing is, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are being seen or heard,
Right.
and that your needs are being met. And you know what I'm
Because
saying?
institutionally, you're not
Yeah.
catered for. So you really don't have real power. You know, but I think also they don't realize that we also kind of struggling with a lot of that on maybe a more micro level here, because I mean, I think colored people feel displaced.
Yeah.
So like, imagine feeling displaced on your own land. Like, I think that just takes the whole psychology of it to a even deeper, more strange level. Like, I get that you are on another continent where you've physically been displaced, but imagine being psychologically displaced in your own land. Like,
Can I just say something?
a vibe.
My understanding with what's happening in America is they would say it's a black against white thing, right? My view isn't like that. My view is the core of the problem is a human against human problem.
Yeah.
Because in China you have Chinese against blacks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right here you have African people against African people.
Right.
So
Right.
the true core of the problem is really it's a human thing that we need to sort out, man.
But can we stop with that actually just for a second and ask why you never get whites against whites?
Well, I think like it's more prevalent in European countries. If you're looking at Bosnia Herzegovina,
Right.
the Serbs, the battles, like the genocide and ethnocide that happens on that side is like based on
Classism.
classism, religion as well.
We were talking about that
Right.
earlier on.
Islam,
Right.
Christianity,
Yeah.
amongst so-called Caucasians.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I think over there is more prevalent. And I think harken back to the Anglo-Boer War where you had the British
The
and the
Boers.
Afrikaner.
Afrikaans.
The Afrikaans people and they had the Afrikaners intern at St. Helena, where they had different prison camps. And there was a large antagonism between Dutch or what is saying, Netherlands, Dutch, Afrikaner
Netherlands.
descendants
Yeah.
and the British, because two colonial powers, but there was a lot of antagonism. And I think also like when the French Huguenots came over, we actually need to go back like to the architects. Like everybody says like Verwoerd was the architect of apartheid,
No.
Right.
but that should happen way
1652.
Right.
way
Even
I think
even earlier.
Easy.
actually like I know with the American slave owners, I think it was either in Jamaica where the guys started, because by then like even if you're going back to Ochimoa etc. He had Robben Island as part of his fiefdom. He was like controlling the port, he was controlling the water and the resources that went to the ships. Then when Van Riebeeck came, he ousted him from a position. So we were economically empowered. We had the resources, we knew how to handle and part, etc. White boy comes and kicking, this may not do. But going back to like where the whole apartheid and the American slave owners, it's like they actually brought somebody over from America to teach the landowners, the white landowners, how to do the systematic oppression.
Right.
It's like they knew exactly how to, if you want to have a slave behave, you cut off his foot. Kijk vir Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
You do certain things to make them turn on the hence the term house nigger.
Yeah.
It's like,
Turn
I'll
each
rather
other.
pimp against my fellow black man.
Get that little bit more.
A little bit more, a little bit extra
Yeah.
skippy rice with
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
your papa, whatever the case may be, or with your dad, you get a bit more better scraps.
Yeah.
So they've systematically learned how to work.
So it's a franchise basically.
It's basically yes, you make one race
Exactly.
or one
It's
grouping.
McDonald's basically.
You make with ketchup. So the premise was that you teach one group a bit, or you teach them a bit better than the other. Hence the whole antagonism between
Coloured and black.
Coloured and black. Of course, yeah,
Or
you
even the concept of colored and
coloured black.
Yeah.
Because we all know there was a construct that was created just to classify all people that were either descendants of slave, free slaves, gebaste mense, derivatives from the different Khoi and San tribes. I mean,
Right.
they mixed to the extent where they became the Griqua.
Yeah.
And all the different like clans. I mean, we had the First Nation mense in here, but also I think they also lacking knowledge in terms of how this all came together. And for me, the best person thus far that I've encountered was Patrick Malay.
Can I stop you quickly
Yeah.
just for a second? I have a question. You said that they're lacking knowledge. Why do you think they're lacking knowledge?
In terms of their agenda, in terms of like wanting to separate the Western Cape from
Sovereign.
to become a sovereign state. I'm not saying that they don't have the knowledge in terms of the clans, etc.
Right.
But like,
But what do you think they're lacking?
well, like the conversation off air that we had with him was pretty intense, and there was a lot of racial undertones. And for that is what I didn't agree with, because I've been in Namibia, I've been with the Damara, I've been to school with them, various other races as well. And when it comes down to identifying or putting yourself as a colored person, as a descendant of various tribes.
Yeah.
So we can go back and we can go trace our lineage. Emil did it.
Yeah.
I haven't done it as yet, but I mean, there's a lot of components that make us, and currently in this week, there was a whole discussion in terms of what is colored, was not the heritage, etc. It's like people saying,
Colored culture.
Colored
Where
culture.
did that come from, by the way?
Right. I'm
I
also
don't know.
thinking. I'm seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's,
It's like, yes, we have a shared experience. We don't necessarily,
But who
Colored
started
culture.
it?
and you can take this back. Having discussed now the US Negro population,
Right.
they are also disassociated from their past.
Yes. 100%.
So there's very little of the culture that was carried on or preserved.
But it's
Basi-
also a survival
Also
means, because if you were caught practicing
Yeah.
anything that was
For
from
sure.
your previous life,
Yeah.
then you were killed, right?
Exactly.
And nobody wants to die. So
So
you'll do
eventually-
what you have to. You'll change your name
Yeah.
to Annie.
You will lose your culture to live.
Yeah.
Right.
As simple as that.
And
I
that's
will
very
lose
important.
What you
because
call it
I
now,
have
you-
a mommy and a daddy.
You
and I-
Right.
assimilate. You become
assimilate.
you become like them. So
Yes.
you try to emulate them
Yeah.
so
Right.
that they don't attack you.
Yes.
Right.
So you're gonna learn and be like the well-spoken. You
Yes.
speak so well.
Yes.
Because now
Nou, jy weer
you're less-
broekie. Nou is maar weer slack.
You're
Jy
less-
know, nooit 'n slack gedaan nie. Nou is maar wearing slacks and shoes. You're like, no, but I'm so comfortable walking barefoot al die jare. Maar nou is er nou skoene aan. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly you conform
Yes.
to love.
To survive.
To survive.
Yeah.
Right.
And-
to keep
and-
breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
It's a dangerous game, but we have to play it.
Eavesdrop, I want to do like this topic is awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going dark again.
It's going very dark. You know when Shaquille talk, it always goes dark, like not even racist dark, like super dark.
I respect that though, by the way.
No, but somebody has to touch on
Yeah.
it sometime.
Look, that's the realities. We know
For sure.
we come from a past. In fact, the whole globe comes from
Yeah.
a past of oppression. Whether you in America, whether
Yeah.
in South America, Europe, maybe not so much Europe because they are the oppressors.
Yeah.
But
then
we
again,
come from more. We come from a lot more, and
A
that's
lot
what
more.
I'm a lot more interested in these days. The anti-slave narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the prior to the
Slavery.
there
Yeah.
was something
Yeah.
much more beautiful.
How was life in that normal ecosystem of just being me, a
Right.
Khoisan boyki running on the
Right?
Do you know there were slaves before then, before the white men came? Also?
Yes.
yeah, but amongst
And that
themselves.
is
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and that
Between
is something
tribes.
that we don't want to talk about because
We don't,
because
no.
the narrative is the whites are oppressing the blacks, which is true, but they're reporting on that for a reason the whole time, and to keep us apart, man. I wanted to say this early on. In the early 90s, there was a Kid Capri had a song where I think in one of the last verses, KRS-One came in,
Yeah.
and his whole rap was about the human race. He says, you're human before you were a race.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel that narrative has been lost around the way, along the way, man. If we can only try, and I know it's hard, man. If we can only try to stick to that narrative and focus more on what we have in common, man. And because what we do is tribalism.
Yeah.
What we do is
Tribalism,
it's
100%.
I'm from this tribe, and no matter what one of my tribe guys do, I will stick to my tribe. You know what I'm saying?
It's the Tower of Babel, basically.
You know what I'm saying? So,
But that comes
but
from
it's difficult,
religion.
man.
That also comes from religion. Nantal. I hear you, because I mean, you go into any Bible, in Quran, tribalism started long
Way
time,
before.
way like you had your Israelites, you had your Babylonians, you had your Egyptians. So I hear you. It's
figured it out, so.
it's a nice thing to have, but the reality is our construct of how we are as humans on Earth is unfortunately to cluster as likes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sit next to Cyril Ramaphosa as a Zulu or Khoi.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit as a colored person. Oh no, I can go fit in at Parkwood. I'll buy me a house there, for example. And then if I want to be bougie, I'm gonna go and try and be a white person. But then I will actually be a white person because I'll give up everything again to survive.
Yeah.
You see, yeah. That's just sorry, my 2 cents.
Selling the soul. Selling the soul.
On the answer question.
Was that your question? Or?
No, that was my question.
No.
You
That was
It's
his-
a diversion.
Yeah.
His sage way.
Yeah. No, I just wondering, like I know, like we had a conversation offline, and you're from Parkwood, and I said I'm from Hanover Park, and
Grassy Park.
I'm from
And
Grassy Park.
we found one thing in common is alles het 'n park.
Alles at the park.
Standard.
That's a Nantas world. So, like growing up, you an artist, and I think a lot of what you're trying to get out there is based on your experiences growing up in Parkwood,
Sure.
and you've been trying to change the perceptions. That's what I've been looking in terms of your especially I was talking about your lyrics and stuff. But there's an effort to try and bring people out of the belief that we are nothing.
Yeah.
To say that yes, we are in situations,
We're in difficulty.
but we will,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I wanted to get to this reality that we're still in the struggle. I say that, and how do you face it as an artist, knowing that things might not change for you, or things might not change in your community that you come from?
Definitely. not.
How do you still motivate yourself to carry on?
I think that what you just said now, knowing that things might not change, and then feeling the urgency of that as an emergency,
Yeah.
because we're currently in a state of emergency, and we've been in a state of emergency, and I think we're keeping ourselves in that state. So we have personal power and capacity, but we don't want to see it because it doesn't take a structure that is represented in the media, or it doesn't take a form that has been done, and we don't have examples for it, basically. So instead of turning inward, we're constantly looking outside of ourselves, and I think that motivates me, because for me personally, turning inward is how I've been able to get through so many different phases of difficulty and challenge on a personal level and within my community as a representative or part of my community. And so I feel like if it's possible for me, then it should be possible for anyone, and I feel like I have then a responsibility to try and show what I mean when I say it's possible for me, without feeling or coming across like I'm standing on a soapbox and saying, you have to, this is your responsibility, but rather saying, I love you,
Sweet.
and I believe, and
I
please
think
give yourself a chance.
I think people are more attracted to somebody that just says I love you,
Right.
where somebody is preaching, dude, you need to do this, you do
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Because
So-
there is no perfection, there is no formula. You have to figure it out for yourself, And so I can't blame the gangster for being the gangster. I have to try and look at that person's life, even though I'm looking at it from the outside. I have to try and look at it from a different lens. Like, I don't think we take enough time to walk in each other's shoes for a bit, or to even try and walk in each other's shoes, because not everybody wants to share their experience with you because it hurts too much, But I think if you try and give yourself a moment to see someone for more than just the person they killed, or the crime they committed, or the kind of food they eat, or the clothes they wear, or the way they speak or dress or act, but rather to try and think about, what happened for them that you can't see, What was their story? Maybe what kind of instances occurred where they had to survive.
Yeah.
My friend Zain said once, he's starting to see everybody as babies.
And I love that.
If you think about everybody as babies,
Yes.
that's growing up, and what
Yes.
happened in your life?
Thank you.
You're still the baby, but as you're growing up, something happened. Now you're carrying this weight.
Right.
Something else happened. You're carrying that weight and that.
Right.
And that makes the person. And
Exactly.
if you break it down like that, you'll see deep down there is a nice person.
Yeah.
there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And also, like, I think, like if you can try and imagine someone in their innocent state, like you're saying, as a baby, then it helps you with your own compassion towards them.
Yeah.
And that might bring out something else in them and you that doesn't normally come out, And I just think like looking at people for not just what you see them as now, but trying to imagine, which is possible, try and imagine them as a different person. Try and imagine them, like you said, as maybe a 7-year-old.
Or even just focusing on the positive.
Just
I love you,
focus on
Nantal.
Positive.
I don't like this, but I had a vision for the interview and he fucked it up. But
I've always loved you.
Agree to disagree.
no, but you are right. I agree that you are agreeing. Agreeing, by the way. Chikim, so you had a post, no?
Yeah.
Where talking about the way you're working in the community. You had a post where you said you something negative about Fadil and stuff. Look,
Oh no, you go and did it.
so a lot of people say negative things about him. Look, I for one, I've seen his heart, man.
Yes.
And I found you. Remember, we
spoke about that.
I think we had almost an hour conversation.
Yeah, I
But it
got
was-
very heated.
I'm saying, "Whatever, I don't know." But I had to just okay, yes.
Eavesdrop.
Luister in, so wat gaan.
And I've seen his good side and whatever. And a lot of people
Yeah.
on Facebook say negative things, but I don't know those people, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They probably have their reasons. But
Definitely.
when you said it, I can understand because I know you and I know your heart.
Yeah.
You're also a good person. So what it was, I took note of what you said. And the thing is that the fact that you work in the community and the incident happened.
Right.
So and the thing is, with them opening up the CCC,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to take criticism in
Yes.
because if you don't, you create a
Yeah.
dictatorship, man.
Exactly.
So I had some other plans, but obviously you said no to it, which I understand and respect.
Yeah.
But I want you to share basically what you feel from your point of view and from what happened in Parkwood
Yeah.
that made you feel that way,
way.
and have that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I was still staying in Parkwood at the time when they had the backyard dwellers were protesting for housing.
Yeah.
And it was organized by Fadil and the Gatvol Capetonians.
Yeah.
And I had been working with my organization, with the youth, in the community center there in Parkwood. And
Yeah.
the spin-off of the riots and the marches, the people were starting to burn down, like they were burning tires, and they started to attack the community center. And like the structures, the only real structures
Yeah.
that we
In
had
that
that
space, yeah.
link us to any kind of institution,
Yeah.
you know. And they completely burnt down and destroyed the community center and the housing rental office. So that meant that people who now, like old people in the community who would walk to the rent office to go and pay their rent once a month, or to go there to speak to the councillor who had his office stationed there, or who would go to lodge complaints about, you know, their flats, water dripping and damage and whatever, now had no recourse. They
Yeah.
had to go to like either Muizenberg or Grassy Park, take a taxi, you know, put in so much more effort to
And
try
money.
and get to, and money and time to try and get to any government official representative,
Yeah.
you know, for their situation. And the community center was housing so many different organizations who were trying to help the people in Parkwood, you know. There was youth programs, there was after school programs. The community center for a long time had been dilapidated,
Yeah.
and so somebody had decided to take it over and use it as a creche until the government eventually decided to step in and evict those people because they were illegally occupying the space, and they then renovated the entire space
Yeah.
and invited in community organizations. And that was the first
Yeah.
time in a long time that we had that. And so I felt like as a community we were making strides, you know, that Parkwood is very small, but it's got a lot of issues, like a huge place would have. And so now, like everything that was there for the people, for their livelihood, was just gone. And I understand that people need houses, and I understand that it's a frustrating situation. But also, the people who were protesting are the same people who were responsible for hosting parties in the flats over the weekends, keeping everyone out of sleep, and hosting like violent parties. Like they would start at 7 o'clock at night, and by 11 o'clock that night it was a knife stabbing or something. And these are the same people who don't have the energy who have that energy for parties and violent fights, but expect the government to come through for them for free homes.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like Fadil and his organization were feeding into the negative and using those people who don't really think about anything other than what they want and what they feel they should get, regardless of, you know, whether or not they put in any kind of effort.
Yeah.
And those are the people who were running after him and who were burning down the community center. I mean, the weeks that followed that incident, people were going with trolleys to the site of the community center to load up the bricks so that they can go and build whatever they wanted to build or sell the bricks or do whatever they wanted to do. And the government is not going to step in again and build us a new community center and a rent office because they're going to say you're going to do the same thing again. And so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you fighting for what you feel you deserve, but I'm saying, how are you fighting? They're not organizing, they're destroying. And I feel like he is in a position to be able to start something, but then guide it if you don't start it.
I think me personally, from my point of view, I think there's a lot of struggles that is coming to his way with this that he probably didn't see. I can testify just doing anything from scratch. I do feel this is a moment in colored history that we have come this far, and I think it's time that people need to jump on it, but at the same time, we need to handle criticism and we need to handle elements that come into play, because that the day I found you, there was a guy. The cops arrested this guy. He's a hitman, and the community attacked the cop car.
I remember
you know what I'm
that.
saying? And there was no political part involved with that. So the elements, they live there. You know? They are amongst us. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So he needs to just be cognizant of the fact. Sound of his,
Cognac.
of the elements and weed it out, man. But more importantly, handle criticism in a very positive way, because it's gonna come and you can use it to your advantage, and you can, you know what I'm saying, if okay, you got a problem, let me solve that problem, and while solving that problem, another problem will say, oh fuck, now I don't like this guys, because if you're gonna say you for the people, you're gonna have to listen to the people, man.
But also I feel like,
but I still believe in the CCC. I just want to tell you guys.
And you have that right, my brother. But I still feel like Fadil and his organization, they jump on cliches.
Yes.
You know, like come on, man. Like, the government is not responsible for gangsterism, my brother. I'm sorry. Like, no amount of you shouting that over and over. Our children have no choice but to be gangsters because the government
not providing us with jobs.
Come on. Look, and also black people are prioritized over colored people. Like, no, dude. My brother's surname is Skuman. He got a job at the government with no issues straight out of high school. Like, I've never experienced that issue with the surname of Skuman. Like, I probably would be classified as a Burra Maisi, but I'm not. I'm not criticized. I'm not like ostracized. I just put in the effort and I put my best foot forward. And if I succeed, I succeed. And if I don't, then I try again. But I don't blame the government or Tandy for the fact that I didn't get the job.
Yeah, that reminds me of the bra that blames the previous old heads that didn't do the job. So my advice to him was, you take sovereignty of your own life and stop complaining. And if you're gonna make it, you're gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to make it. So I get what you're saying.
I think like also there's a lot of like we've had Fadil on here before, but there's also certain facts that he references that is, for me, that I know is factually incorrect. I know he had the interview recently on I think it was EWN News or something, and the term BB, triple E, etc. It includes coloureds, Indians, any previously disadvantaged person. So the fact you can't go complain about BE because BE includes us. It's like whoever wants to step to the fore.
But that's the thing, Shaquille. Like,
not really,
we don't really want to.
Not really.
No,
it is.
No, but the thing is this, my wife works in HR. There is ways of excluding us.
No,
even with the laws as it is, you are black. We are black. I identify as black. But there is ways of manipulating the system as it is now to exclude us.
Sure.
There is that's
when it comes to tenders, and the whole BBE policy comes like it's predominantly for tenders and doing work for government.
As a point system.
As a point system. And I can be 135% BBE compliant. But at the same time, you have people that have people of color fronting while it's white only, the white majority. Yes. At the end of the day, is whoever can grease the wheels to get the contracts.
Right.
And we're not in that realm. We're in the micro realm on the ground trying to survive.
Right.
So the term BBE is not going to apply to somebody,
being manipulated,
a
guys.
backyard dweller trying to secure a 10 million rand contract. That is volkomen uit te doen. Secondly, in terms of the bursaries that are available, our previous teacher at Grassy Park High, Mr. Gafielding, he's at the College of Cape Town. So the amount of actual bursaries that are sent back to national government on a yearly basis equates to in the millions, and it's because people don't want to go
apply.
study. They don't
Right.
apply.
Right.
But
But we had that conversation. But we don't want to invest in the long term.
Conversations here.
Ken wordt in Joburg. People don't want to invest, and I understand you're hungry now. You're not hungry in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
But we need to get it in our heads that you can't put 100 rand away today, and next week it's going to be
A million
10,000
rand.
rand.
But
You have to play the long game.
Okay.
You
But
have to play the long
also beside the TFET colleges where you can get the free bursaries and free courses,
Right.
there's also opportunities to become tradesmen,
Right.
nurses,
Yep.
Yes.
teachers, free,
Yes.
paid. We actually get a stipend.
Right.
So if you want to apply yourself, Bri, you need to finish school because that's your minimum requirement.
Simple.
Simple. You need to go to school.
And
you need
also
to get
our
matric.
schools are subsidized at the moment. Like a lot of the Hyde Park Primary offers the option for children to parents don't have to pay school fees.
Yeah.
They get like a list where parents have to collect money on.
Yeah.
I think like every quarter. And I mean, come on. Like,
It's
how,
like
much,
you can-
how much more
Yeah.
like
It's like
incentive do you need?
The same thing that happened with that previous interview in terms of the level of expectancy of the generations today.
Right.
It's like, Kiki, you know for a fact you had to go grind, you had to hustle.
Right.
You might have gone to a better school,
Yeah.
but I mean, the same person went to Grassy Park High, Lavendale High, etc. We had to hustle. We had to, Kiki, there wasn't like, kijk, I had a week, as je kan study nie, maar ze kan nie by jou gat by die huis sit.
But also, like,
in
the
verwachting.
reason I got into a better school was because my grandfather didn't see himself as a statistic. He was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
At one point, he and my grandmother were destitute with my mom and her siblings. That didn't stop them from realizing their worth. So when my grandfather saw my school, all he saw was white kids climbing a tree, and he was like, I think my grandchild could go there. Nothing in his mind was like, well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we
She
not
can- she
we
can
not
climb a tree.
rich.
I can see her.
She can climb a tree, she got long legs. and he took a chance, and it was an apartheid.
Exactly. Yeah.
And me, a black child from the ghetto, got into a white school. So like,
There's means and ways. I'm very proud of you, dude. This is a negative Nelly.
negative Nelly.
Y'all better recognize.
I'm proud of him. I'm proud from you. Mine's my name.
From you.
No, I just want to speak about the CCC.
Handle it.
Like I know you interviewed Fadil, and I see stuff on Facebook and stuff. But I from my personal view, I mean, I worked in government. I always get nervous if somebody's representing a large group of people,
Right.
because that is not my viewpoints.
Right.
Like I listen to you now, that's not my view. Me and Shaq, he knows I worked in government.
That's in every political party. Then.
No. There's a process. I always believe this. You need to do things first before you go and burn something down.
Right.
If you haven't never asked for a meeting with the mayor, or you've never sat down and said, look, I'm gonna invest and find out about the IDP.
Yes.
You know? I want to sit in my ward council meetings, and then how did you get from not doing anything and now starting to stir up trouble? You know, the only thing I've seen so far of him is stir up trouble. Like he speaks very negatively about black people from the Eastern Cape coming over here. That's something I don't want to affiliate with as a colored person.
That
because
narrative is
that's
very
not cool.
divisive.
Yeah, it's
That's-
divisive, and it's like apartheid, but now from within.
I get that he feels like, you know what, colored people aren't seen in Cape Town.
Can I ask you guys?
But
can I-
we're not
can I
we're
ask-
not asking, we're not taking up space. That's the thing. Like, you
We're not
can't be a
claiming our space.
wallflower and expect that everyone's gonna come and be like, oh, please come dance.
Yeah.
Like, dance if you want to dance, for fuck's sakes. Like,
Did you guys see that?
It's like a daddy moment.
are you done now?
Yeah. Oh,
Check here. Did you guys see the tent they put on by Baden Powell.
Yeah, I saw in the road. It's about fuck the tent, no?
In
by
the road.
way.
Was anybody arrested?
No?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
Oh, dropping the mic.
That's all I'm going to say about
Lovely,
that.
lovely.
Let's change the subject. Checker, you had a status on Facebook
Yeah.
where you said,
I must stop with these Facebook.
Yeah,
statuses,
just
no?
keep going on that.
I'm stalking you guys.
Yeah.
Big brothers watching. Big brothers watching.
Yeah, you said a certain point of view is not accepted anymore, and free think is gonna have to go underground. What was your? Because at the same time, David Icke had an interview with on London Real,
Yes, I
and it
checked
was
that
banned.
out. It was
And I was like,
banned,
look,
yeah.
I don't believe in that. What that guy says, he's out
Right.
there, he's lizard people and all
Right.
that. Yeah,
V
it's
for
out there.
victory.
His interview with Credo was on point. So
I must still
like,
check that one out, but yeah, he said it's Jesus in the 90s and the early 90s.
Hey.
But
Amen.
anyway,
Hey Zeus. Vato loco se say.
Hey.
be that as it's made, they shouldn't censor him.
Right.
So, what was your thought pattern? What was your thought what was you going through at the time?
Well, I mean, that was kind of at the beginning of the whole lockdown and
Conspiracy theories. coming
right.
from that.
And so, like, I just found it very interesting that suddenly now anybody who had an opinion even was being told that they're spreading fake news. Like, how is an opinion fake news? Like, the definition of an opinion is your point of view. So that basically means that you are not valid. Like, you can't be validated because you don't speak the common narrative, and that's like a dangerous, that's a
Yep.
dangerous situation.
Yeah, because that's
Because now it was institutions were starting to censor people and like take away your posts. Like, I don't know, even up until now, I'm seeing more and more on Facebook, like posts are just being blocked.
Yeah.
Even innocent things just being blocked. Messages
goes
on
against our
social
community
media,
standards.
right? Like, that was a picture of my nephew. But like
He
just-
has 3 years. I can't help it.
So like I was just observing that and feeling threatened, I think.
yeah.
Because I'm in the business of speaking my mind.
Exactly, for sure.
Right? I'm in the business of expressing what
yourself.
might not necessarily be the common point of view, you know? And so I was just feeling like it reminded me, in fact, of a time that I wasn't around, but that I'd heard about during apartheid, when people's books were banned. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
You couldn't write your thoughts. You couldn't share your experience because it was counter what the government wanted the world to know.
Yeah, the propaganda machine.
Right, the
Yeah.
propaganda machine. And so I just started to think to myself, these days we're accepting that so easily.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for where we're heading? You know? And I was thinking, if we're experiencing that now on this level, just because of something like a virus that, you know, we're not very clear about how it all came about, but you know, how easily we're even censoring each other because
Yeah.
people started to turn on each other,
Yeah.
attack each other.
But I think there's something about Facebook, and Emil also alluded to it. There's something about it that's orchestrated for us to turn on each other.
Yes, for sure.
So I had a conversation with a lady that believed that the earth is flat.
Right.
And I sent a pic that I thought it was drop the mic moment. Clearly it wasn't. But the thing is, what I made sure I'm doing is, I said, look, this is where the conversation on this app doesn't gel well, because I don't want to come across as I'm angry at you.
Right.
So I made it clear that, look, you got your views and I've got my views, and you know what I'm saying, because we're really not gonna get to a point where we're gonna see each other's point of views.
Right.
But I think
Yeah.
I personally go out of my way to say, dude, I come in peace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And that my piece might not necessarily be in agreement with what you believe,
piece.
Yeah.
but it's still peace.
But we're all about the
But
green
the weirdest
piece.
thing is, no? The weirdest thing is before I had the podcast, I thought if somebody see me talk and I say something where I'm representing the bad and the good,
Right.
I genuinely thought like you could see now this guy comes in peace, whatever. But that's not even the case because sometimes people want to see what they want to see in a conversation
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a lot of people will even comment like, "Oh, I got popcorn. I'm just here for the view," or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, people wanna
It's-
see
But
the
that's
It's a show.
that's
It's a
human
show.
nature. It's like you
Right.
want to see the Afrik.
it is
Yeah.
human nature.
What do you guys think about Black Panther's death?
The death.
But I died.
You think
It's a sad moment.
The sad moment.
Look,
Coming back to the movie now.
You know what was sad?
Chadwick.
You know what was sad? I saw an interview where he says nobody knew he had cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he says he does work for cancer with kids or whatever. He says their parents message him to say that kids are hanging on till the movie's finished because they still want to live to see the movie finished. And he broke down, dude. And he said he's seen movies, but he never realized movies can be that important, man.
Yeah.
And while he was breaking down, they was touching him and said, "No, don't worry, it's going to be all right." But deep down, he knew why he was crying
Yeah.
because he's dying of cancer himself, man.
Wow.
And it's colon cancer, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Every days.
Yeah, no.
But it just goes to show how we don't like, especially people in the spotlight.
Yeah.
They don't realize the impact they have. And like I see this influencer DJ Scowers and DJ whatever, but I see like real people like you, like like if you push out something and it's in a positive vibe,
Yeah.
you can change. Like we also been speaking about this. Like you push out something. And you aware that you're
Yeah.
trying to bring out change, you're trying to change a situation.
Right.
And then you get
Right.
people that don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's all about for attention. And I'm not saying the artist industry isn't about getting attention. It's all about creating an audience.
Yes.
That's right.
But I think a lot of artists focus more. And I mean,
On
you've been
content
as a
creation.
DJ. You were you used to always tell me I'm more like the feedback. If it's negative, it makes me feel negative, or I need to get that likes, or the station needs to get those likes. But the reality is now you say, even with the podcast, you tell me always like, it's not about the likes. It's about the fact that we're pushing out a positive vibe. We're pushing out positive information out there.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question because how do you, being a hardcore artist, I know for a fact we're not gonna reach that heights where a guy that just makes a video, silly video, short video, and gets the likes.
Yeah.
How do you navigate where you say, look, that is not important? What mindset do you tell yourself, or that you realize people see that as success?
Yeah.
And not this way where you doing your own thing, because that's what we're doing. We might not be seen as success right now, but
Yes.
for us is having this conversation that
Yeah.
like this is for me is a successful a podcast because I'm having fun.
Right.
But a lot of people outside are saying your numbers is not even fucking
10,000.
10 views, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a successful one. You know what I'm saying? How do you navigate with that though?
I think, people sense you when they can see that you're genuinely involved in what you're doing, right? And so you might not have the same following, you might not have the same amount of likes, you might not get the same amount of exposure, but you're going to be around for a lot longer. And that really is, for me, what matters, like staying
Longevity.
power, Having staying power, which I think a lot of people are happy for the fly-by-night, whereas I'm not. Like, I want my music to still be relevant 20 years from now, Like, I can still listen to songs from 14 years ago and be like, okay, I think I had something to say.
And it makes you
there.
happy also, man. Doing the process. Because the
Exactly.
thing is, when I was at the radio station, I had to flip my mind again, or even Gonzo's. I had to think, what does the
What
people
the people
want,
want.
and
Right.
put that first.
Yes.
And that actually messes up with a creative mind, man.
It does.
And getting out of that, I mean, I'm probably 2 months out of that contract. I need to shift from that, and it's gonna take time, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me personally,
Yeah.
where I'm saying, look, guys, I'm doing me, and you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
Right.
That popularity thing
Yeah.
is no longer valid. It's no longer
I
applicable to me.
don't know where else was, but it said something like, if you do something that you enjoy or you're passionate about, if your job
You'll never work a day.
you'll
in your
never
life.
work a day in your life.
Right.
And I think
That's
that's
it.
what you're getting to, that like I mean, yes, you're a great DJ, but if you're caught in this tin,
Yeah.
you're not
I
going
think
to
the
express
blocky.
yourself. Like, I mean, me and Shaquille, we always like, Nantal is so gevaarlijk, Nantal is so. But then when we used to listen to you, like, you can see this man is not feeling this thing
Yeah,
anymore.
he's
Nah,
not in it.
the last year or so, that song again, that song there, yeah, whatever. Just make sure my money's right. You know what I'm saying?
And
That's wrong.
That's
That's wrong.
wrong.
You know what I'm saying? Because people I remember doing the Ottery thingy.
Yeah.
Where a guy came to me and he says, "Guy, I was doing the drive show then.
Yeah.
The guy comes to me and he says, you know what? I have a lot of problems, but for that half an hour, 25 minutes, I can just listen to you and just disappear."
Wow.
And all that stuff. For me, that was like, fuck, I never thought.
Yeah.
Because I'm creating here just to put this stuff together because it needs to sound right sonically and after this, okay, I'm
It's like a
proud.
deadline and moet by die dag en
But,
die dag
but
gewees.
Yeah.
at the beginning, the deadline didn't bother me really because I juice, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that for me was like, oh, fuck, this
Yeah.
is worth it, man.
The impact you're making, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I think like you're changing people's lives, you know, you're impacting their lives. So like you have value. So like whatever you create has to resonate with that.
Because if you think about music was more than just music for us. Like for me in the
Actually,
90s, like when POC came out and stuff, that moved me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you want that energy to be put in your music, and I'm trying to put that energy in this space as well, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Where we're just not interviewing anybody, man.
Yeah.
Even if the bra is like one like whatever, if that bra inspire me and I want that energy to be flowing through here.
For sure.
Because like I told them, it's like the viewer is, I'm seeing us as like a dietitian.
Yes.
We giving him the food he needs. You know what I'm saying? We're giving him carbs, not too much carbs. We're giving him that. We're giving him that. We're giving him that.
Beetje broccoli op je side.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Again,
To make him a whole person, man. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? That's the whole idea. And I mean, after a while, that will generate interest, hopefully.
Sure. For sure.
And shit, that's killer.
That's
man.
you, yeah. So Eavesdrop, where do you see yourself? Like, I mean, with lockdown now, almost at its end.
Will you see yourself in 5 years?
Almost
I
at
was
its
waiting
no,
for the
man, not
5
at 5 years. Not
What's your favorite
5
color?
years. No. But you must ask the question. We want to know where, so that we can
I
track
also follow
the progress
the
and stuff. You know? Yeah, like with lockdown almost at its end, and
Yes.
the coronavirus, it did impact you quite considerably.
Yes.
You had an opportunity with CT Cape Town,
CTEMF.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, what's your projects like now? Like, are you thinking of internal for the next, say, 6 months or the next year?
Well, I mean, I'm working on some stuff at the moment. So I've got an EP that's being mixed and mastered at the moment.
Yeah.
Has no titles, just 6 tracks,
No.
which I'm really excited about. And then also I'm working on a theatre production called Memory is a Weapon,
Yeah.
which basically speaks about 3 characters who come from different areas in the Cape Flats, who have different independent struggles, but they are linked through their kind of overarching experience of life as creatives or as artists and living in the Cape Flats and dealing with kind of issues and violence in the greater community and then personal issues inside of their homes. So that's a really interesting project for me. So we're working on that. So, you know, the next year is going to be quite
Sounds
cool.
Sounds dope.
It's really exciting. So that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. And then my side hustle pays the bills, man.
All of our side hustles pay our bills. The podcast pay me.
Oh gosh, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Sweet.
Yeah.
No, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
With that being said, mensen.
Tell us when the episode will be uploaded.
From us, we wish you well on your future endeavors. I mean, it klinkt nou so generic. But yeah, big ups to what you're doing, the hustle that you have been doing for all the years with the
Thanks.
Rebel Arts Project in Parkwood.
Yes.
So yeah, big ups for that and for always staying in the game.
Thank you.
But yeah, from us, the Babbling Heads.
Yay.
The bobbling heads.
The bubble,
Marvel.
the bubble, bubble,
Babbling heads.
bubble.
Babbling.
Double bubble en Becky mos.
Yes, yes.
Ja, weet.
Fucking theory.
Laddle and Hardy.
I'm the thin one. Benton. Oh wait, the base 187. I'm out. Peace.
Fingers. Drop it a bit. Yeah.
Kearns, bye bye.
Thanks everyone. This is Adrian Kearns and out.
Thanks for
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming around. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nah,
I had fun
guys.
today,
super
guys.
dope. Super
Definitely,
dope.
like I
This is the
really
first one I enjoyed in a long
respect
time. Nantal, you were
It's quite
talking.
a long one, no?
Ja.
Pun intended.
Yes, podcast.
Ik was die babbelaars die keer.
Ja, ze baie gepraat, jong. Yo, ik was zo impressed.
Safe.